Before we begin this special translated interview, a special thanks goes out to Bleach MX. You can follow him on Twitter, and you can also follow his official site listed in the description below. So without further ado, let's get started. When he was a beginner, Tite Kubo was one of those who would not draw. Tite Kubo said, "I had published 2 one-shots, but I could not find the motivation to continue. That's when I was told, we've given you 45 pages in the magazine, so draw." It was not usual that you give as many pages to publish for a new artist without having entered one of the jump competitions. They said to me, "If you do not draw, we'll publish blank pages. Do you agree with that?" And so my third one-shot, Bad Shield United, has arrived. Shortly after, Kubo fell into another period without drawing. Kubo says, "After a year or less, my editor told me, let's prepare a chapter with storyboards to aim for a pre-publication just to show them your enthusiasm. He will not get the green light during the next editor's meeting." So I drew Zombie Powder and was finally approved for pre-publication for a series. At the editor's meeting, the norm was to give 3 chapters full of storyboards in order to be retained for serialization. Kubo was accepted only with 1, another unusual fact. It was later that I discovered the consensus among the editorial staff that was, "Send this kid to Tokyo, we have to draw it." It was clear that the editorial staff was unanimous in helping Kubo develop as a mangaka. Kubo says, "I understood that the drawing was missing a year after the first series ended." Kubo's first manga was released for 6 months, although it ended without him dominating the linking between chapters. Kubo says, "There was a lot of trial and error, but this experience probably taught me to draw even faster than before." Another year passed before Bleach arrived. Kubo had apparently established himself as a mangaka who did not draw when his publisher said, "I had the place at the beginning of Akamaru Jump magazine. The published one-shot will be known as the pilot chapter of Bleach." Kubo said, "I was told to bring excerpts and a title," and for those of you who do not know what excerpt means, a short extract from a film, broadcast, or piece of music or writing. Kubo says, "So I did it. At the time, Ichigo was wearing a suit and was handling a rifle. I had named the manga Snipe. However, when it was time for the storyboard, I began to be interested in the idea of Shinigami, something that no one had read yet. The costumes were replaced by kimonos and rifles by katanas. With that, Snipe was no longer a suitable title, and I changed it for Bleach." The decision was made at the last moment, so the first teaser to be passed was called Snipe. Kubo then laughs. The one-shot version of Bleach took the #1 spot in the popularity poll and was then approved for serialization. Although my publisher always talked about doing a long run, he also told me, "Kubo-kun, you are probably going to be tired of all of this in 2 or 3 years," and that was the truth. I easily lost interest. When Bleach started, I never imagined pursuing it as long as I did. I became attached to the characters and I started to want to draw different aspects of them. Before even realizing it, the series had been published for a long time. The series had a great end in 2016 after 15 years of publication. Kubo then says, "I sent a lot of material for the final bow," and then laughs to himself. Things like Hitsugaya who becomes an adult and a lot that I kept until the final bow. In a way, doing that allowed me to finish the manga in a rather big excitement. And with all of that, we are going to end the interview here, guys. That is all for this part. There is another part coming soon. The continuation and the end of the translation is coming soon. I want to thank you all so much for watching this interview, and I will see you guys in the next part of the interview. As always, I will see you all in the next Bleach video.